And so I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of how to use iMovie, how to put your stuff into iMovie, and then some of the features that it has. So basically the first thing you're going to do when you go to create a new project is just create new, and you're going to want to make a movie. And so then it'll bring up on the left-hand side here just any video clips or pictures that you might have already saved on the computer. What you're going to want to do, especially if you're recording it on your phone, I know a lot of phone chargers, I don't know if they all do, but they can unplug to the block, and then they have the USB port. You can just plug that into your computer and download it through that way. It should be quick and simple. We're going to see if we can also figure out how to airdrop it if any of you have iPhones, but I don't know if that'll work without Wi-Fi yet. So we'll figure that out. If any of you guys know how to do that.
Yeah, AirDrop works without Wi-Fi.
It works without Wi-Fi, so you can do it on these computers?
I think so.
Okay, yeah, and I'll figure that out, and if that's possible, I'll let you know. Maybe you can help me with that, Kyle. And then basically what we're going to do is go to, and you have some of these saved, right, Mrs. Preston? These?
Yes.
Okay, so you just go to your library, pick which clips you want to use, and drag it down to the bottom here. We're just going to use 2 clips, and then I'm going to go to the photos, because I also wanted to show you how to put a photo into iMovie. It's super easy. If you want to change like how long it is, you can just crop it like this, which shouldn't be too difficult. For the photo, it works the same way. It just means that you're going to see the photo for longer, right? So there's lots of different options too up here. Don't worry about the audio right now. I'm going to give you guys a separate lesson on the audio, just talking about like different sounds and stuff and how to put, your music in there. That's something that I actually need to figure out myself, so we'll get there eventually. You can put titles in, which basically, I don't know if it'll let me do that right now, but a title is something that you would definitely want. So if you're going to have like a poem video, you'll want a title at the beginning maybe to say what your poem is. Or you could also put these at the end too. So, say Mr. Dole poem video. And these can also work for the credits at the end too. It's really nice to have that there. And you can do some transitions, which I'll talk about later. The backgrounds you don't have to worry about too much because the background is going to be your film clips anyway. So you don't really need to worry about these unless you have
Except for the title screen.
Yeah, the title screen you could use a background for if you wanted to. And then transitions, that's something you could do. It depends on what you want to do with your film. So I know sometimes if you want to make something like comedic, you might want to put like the circle, in the old cartoons where like the circle kind of closes in on everything and then the Porky the Pig jumps out. You could do something like that with a transition. But for the most part, I don't think you're going to need to use it because if you think about like all the movies that you watch, they don't really have like fancy transitions. It just cuts from one scene to the next. So don't worry about these too much, like I said, unless you do want to incorporate them into like a poem or something like that. And then you can ask Mrs. Preston or I, and we can try to help you figure that out. So now I'm just going to talk about real quick these things up here. I know some of you might not know what some of them do. This one is about the balance, so you're probably not going to want to touch this one that much. If you, I don't really think that you're going to use it, so it's not really that necessary. But the one on the right does pretty much the same thing, this little artist palette. If you switch this dial here, it changes the contrast, so this will make the darker colors darker, and this will make the brighter colors brighter. But you can see there's like this little red bar here, which means, hey, you probably shouldn't do that. So don't worry about that one too much. But this one makes stuff black and white. So I know some of the videos that you might have seen have black and white scenes. This would be a good way to do it. Just move this dial over to the left here. If you move it over to the right, it increases the color scheme. So I don't know if you would want to use that, maybe to show like a vibrant scene or something like that. This one's the crop effect. So it allows you to crop your video if you want to just show this much of the video. And it works really well too with the photo. So say this one has the photo going for a little while. You can either crop it to fit, so it just stays the way it is for the whole time. You can crop to fill, which means that it's only going to show you this much of the photo, or you can do Ken Burns, which is my favorite one to do. So it starts big, and then it's going to go small. And what you can do is you can switch it around using this little button. So if you want it to start small and end big, it can do that. You can also move it around. So say you wanted to do this. So it would start big, and then it would start end small up in the top right corner. Yeah. Did it do it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yes. Your boyfriend.
I don't know why it's going so slow. I think I just made it really long. Whoops. Alright, so see, it kind of changes the angle that you view it at. So, I don't know if any of you guys have like pictures that you wanted to use, but that's certainly a way that you could use it to sort of pan out, make the viewer see something different. And that's really, when you do put a photo in, unless you want to make it black and white, this cropping thing is going to be your best friend in terms of what you want to do with it. But the rest of the stuff kind of applies to the video. This one just changes it if it's really shaky. So like if you were running while you were taking your video, it might make it look a little bit more stable so that your audience doesn't get seasick while they're watching it. Again, this one's audio. I'll be talking about audio later, but something that I know I've done in the past is, like, if my clip is really loud, I can bring the sound down. Sometimes you'll bring it down to 1 and it still will sound too loud. And sometimes it'll be too quiet. You can take it up to 400 times what it originally was. So you can play around with that, but I'll talk more about sound probably in the weeks to come. Background noise, sort of the same thing. So if you took a video like where there's a crowd, this might just help reduce the background noise, and it'll bring out like the main dialogue that you want to have in your video. This one just adjusts the speed. So obviously you guys know how to do this. Like, you can do it on Snapchat too. Slow, fast, freeze frame, that kind of stuff. This one does filters. So again, if you wanted to make it black and white, you could do it like that. And then this one just gives you the information. You won't need this one at all. Be careful, don't touch this little magic wand here, because it's going to say, okay, I'll just do whatever I want for you. And you don't want it to do that, because then it'll just switch everything around on you. If you do end up doing something that you want to undo later, you can just go up to the edit and then undo, and it takes away everything that just happened. So that's super nice. You can click that as many times as you want. So if you did like 3 things that you get confused by, you can just go back and it'll undo all of them for you. And then this thing at the bottom here, it increases the size of the clips down here. So if I wanted to work on my clip as a whole, I'd go all the way over here, and then you can, highlight everything here and do something with that. If I wanted to work on an individual clip, I could do that. And look, it shows me how long it is. It shows me the audio under here, which again we'll play with another time. And it also allows you to like crop it a little bit easier. So if you go, this one's really long. If you go over here, say I want to get rid of the first couple of minutes, crop it over this way, makes it a lot shorter. And if you crop it from the left over here, it does the same thing. It gets rid of the beginning though. And I think that's it. Is there anything else, Mrs. Preston, that you think I'm missing? All right. So yeah, so that's just how you use iMovie. I don't know how many of you have your clips ready, but I'm going to be walking around and just checking on how everything's going. So if you need help, feel free to raise your hand. I'll come help you out. Mrs. Preston knows how to do this a little bit. She can help you out. So there's 3 adults in the room. Go ahead and work on your stuff. Yeah.
Can you get this application on other things that aren't Apple?
No, this is only on Apple. If you have stuff that's not Apple, you can use YouTube. But I don't know how to use that well, but if you want to use that, I can figure it out for you.
Did you stop your recording?